Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Hello everyone, this is Muhammad Imran. I hope you are doing well and will be enjoying learning linguistics and literature with Muhammad Imran. In today's lecture, we will discuss formal links and discourse analysis. This lecture will be divided into two parts. In part first, we will define and discuss what are formal links in discourse analysis. Then we will differentiate coherence from cohesion. And finally, we will discuss verb forms and parallelism as cohesive devices in discourse analysis. So let's begin and learn today's lecture. In order to understand what are formal links in discourse analysis, you have to focus this picture for a while. So this is a chain. A chain is a series of metal rings which connect one part with another one. Now, if one of the metal ring is missing, the chain breaks down. It doesn't work properly. It loses its strength. It loses its power. So the same is true of discourse also. If in a discourse we don't have formal links, the discourse cannot give proper meaning. So then the discourse loses its meaning. The discourse loses its unity. The discourse loses its coherence and cohesion. So this is the topic of today's lecture. We will discuss how one part of a sentence is connected with another one with the help of cohesive device, or how one word is connected with another one with the help of cohesive devices. So we use cohesive devices in discourse in order to make the discourse meaningful, or in order to make the discourse coherent. So let's begin our today's lecture and discuss in detail formal links in discourse analysis. So this lecture primarily it appeals to students of BS English because it is one of the subject of BS English students, and the lecture is also very much fruitful for those who are conducting their researches in discourse analysis. So they can take formal links and they can analyze a short story, they can analyze a novel, or they can do discourse analysis of a speech, they can do discourse analysis of a conversation. So it is very much relevant and helpful for those also who are interested to conduct their researches in discourse analysis. So let's begin our today's lecture. So formal links. Within the formal links, we have formal and we have contextual links. Sometimes when we do discourse analysis, so we look for the features inside the language. And then these features are formally called as formal links. And sometimes when we do discourse analysis, so we look for the features outside of the language. Then such kind of links are called contextual links, right? So then formal links are associated with cohesion in discourse, while contextual links are associated with coherence in discourse, right? In order to account for discourse, we need to look at features outside the language. These facts enable us to construct stretches of language as discourse, as having meaning and unity for us. So when we look at for the features outside of the language, so we are dealing with coherence. And when we look for the features inside the language, we are dealing with cohesion. Now, the way we recognize correct and incorrect sentences is different because in discourse analysis, our sentences may be grammatically correct or may be grammatically incorrect because we are not looking for grammatical features. We are looking for whether the sentences are well knitted, well connected or not. Whether these sentences together give us meaning or not. Whether this piece of text is meaningful or not. So this is the focus. We are not looking for whether sentences are grammatically correct or not correct. Maybe sentences are grammatically correct or maybe sentences are grammatically incorrect. So this is not the job of a discourse analyst. Discourse analysts look for whether the sentences are well knitted or not. Sometimes these sentences will be connected through contextual links, and sometimes these sentences will be connected through formal links. Sometimes there will be cohesion and sometimes there will be coherence. Two ways of approaching language as approach first formal features and approach to contextual features. Remember, formal features are those features which are inside the language, and contextual features are those features which are outside of the language. So formal features deal with cohesion in discourse, and contextual features deal with coherence in discourse. So then cohesion will be something which is concrete or which has physical realization, while coherence is something which is abstract. We cannot see, but we can logically think whether the sentence is logically connected or not. Let's discuss these two features. Formal features. Formal features referring to facts inside language. For example, we look for verb form, we look for parallelism, we look for referring expression, we look for substitution. We will discuss these all formal links one by one in coming slides. So right now you need to remember this, that formal features are such features which are inside the language and which have physical realization. That's why we can see them, we can realize them physically, and formal features are associated with cohesion. We also call them cohesive devices. Now, formal features in some way built up in our mind from the block marks which form writing on the pages. So we can see them, they are formed in mind, and then we can write on a blank page, or even we can use in conversation, or from the speech sounds picked up by our ears. So there are physical realizations of formal features. Now, approach to contextual features. I told you that contextual features are associated with coherence, and these are the features which are outside of the language. They are called contextual features, right? Or they are called contextual links. So contextually, we know whether one sentence is connected with another one or not. Something like abstract. It's in our mind, okay? And our logic tells us whether one sentence is connected with the previous one or not. So, contextual features referring to facts outside language. Quite opposite of this one. Now, formal features inside language. And contextual features, they are facts outside language, knowledge stored in the mind about the real world. Now, contextual features are somewhere outside these physical realizations of the language. So you see that then contextual features are abstract. It's our mind, or pre-existing in the mind of participants. Stretches of language treated only formally or referred to as text. So this slide is very informative and very important, and here we learn how cohesion is different from coherence. So cohesion is something which is concrete, while coherence is something which is abstract. In cohesion, we look for the features which are inside the language, and in coherence, we look for the features which are outside the language. So that's why they are also called contextual features, because we don't have the features which are inside the language. We use our logic, we use the context, we look at the shared culture knowledge, and from shared culture knowledge, from our logic, we can say whether this sentence is connected with another one or not. While in cohesion, we look for formal features. Also, we call them like cohesive devices. So this was the overall difference between cohesion and coherence in discourse analysis. So our focus of this lecture is to look for formal features or cohesive devices. We will discuss one by one now. So here we have formal links. We will discuss these formal links one by one in detail now. Formal links between sentences and between clauses are known as cohesive devices. So formally and technically, these formal links are known as cohesive devices. So we have then verb form, we have parallelism, we have referring expressions, we have repetitions and lexical chains, we have substitution, we have ellipses, and we have conjunctions. So these are formal links, or these are cohesive devices, which are the features inside the language, and they are used to connect sentences, they are used to connect paragraphs, and they are used to connect clauses as well as words. So let's discuss one by one in detail now. So first we will discuss verb form as cohesive device. How a verb is used to connect clauses, sentences, and paragraph. Let's discuss it. For example, you're writing a paragraph, and this paragraph consists of 10 sentences. And if you write first sentence in present tense, you must write second sentence also in present tense. You must write third sentence also in present tense. You must write fourth sentence also in present tense. In the same way, we can simply say that all sentences in a paragraph you must write in simple present tense. In other words, you must be consistent in verb form. It's not necessary. I don't mean that you have to write paragraph in simple present tense. No, not at all. I mean that, for example, you're writing a paragraph and it's a story, right? Or it's a narration. You're describing something. You are explaining something. So you must be consistent in verb form. If the first sentence you are using past tense, then in all sentences you must use past tense. If in the first sentence you are using present tense, then in all sentences you must use present tense. In this way, you will be consistent in using verb form. And when you are consistent, it means that your writing or your speech is then well coherent, right? And there'll be unity. So the form of the verb in one sentence can limit the choice of the verb form in the next. If in one sentence you are using present tense, then in the other sentence you must use also present tense. Otherwise, there'll be no connection or there'll be no link between sentences. So this is the verb form which creates link between sentences. So, and we may be justified in saying that in the verb form in one sentence is wrong. If, for example, in sentence first you are using present tense, and in sentence 2 you are using past tense, then we will be justifying to say that the verb form is wrong, because one sentence cannot be linked with another one, or at least unlikely, because it does not fit with the form in another. So in the first example, there seems a degree of formal connection, while in the second example, the formal connection is missing. Example. So here we have example, how a formal link is built and how a formal link is missing. Let's discuss it. Example first. A says, right, who's going to lift the bottom? Well, someone's got to take the hold of it. B says, I ain't going to. So you can see that the verb form in this example is consistent, right? So there seems a formal links, because going, who's going is a present tense, present continuous tense, and someone has got, it's also present tense, right? And I am going to is also present continuous tense. So this example, we have three verb form: going, present tense, has got, present tense, and ain't going, present tense. Don't confuse, okay, that it is perfect tense. It's present tense. It is used as an expression that someone has got to take all of it. So these all three verb forms are in present tense. That's why that this sentence is linked with this one and this sentence is linked with this one. So there exist formal links through verb form. In this example, here's problem. For example, it says, right, who is going to lift the bottom? While someone had got to take hold of it. You can see that the first sentence, who is going, which is present tense. In the second sentence, while someone had got to take hold of it, it's past tense. In sentence first, going to, who's going to is a present tense. In sentence 2, someone had got, it is past tense. And B says, I shouldn't have going to, right? I shouldn't have been going to. Again, we can see here we have a perfect continuous tense. And then A says, don't come on, well, you. Again, we have a different verb form. So in the second example, we have different verb form. That's why we don't have formal links in the second example. Again, in sentence first, we have present tense. In second sentence 2, had got to, past tense. In sentence 3, we have perfect continuous tense. And in sentence 4, we have future time. So we have different verbs form. That's why there seems no formal connection between sentences. That's why there would be no cohesion. So this is the best examples. I have given 2 examples to you people. In the example first, there seems proper connection. There seems cohesion. and proper verb form is used, and because of these, where we were, sorry for inconvenient. Okay, we are here. So present tense, and present tense. Here we have the present tense, then we have past tense, we have perfect tense, and then again, finally we have future time. So by verb form, don't confuse yourself. There are several videos will tell you that verb form means to use correct verb form. No, not at all. In discourse analysis, in formal links, in cohesive devices, by verb form, we don't mean to use correct verb form. We mean to use such verb form which are consistent, or we mean to use the same verb form in all sentences in order to make them coherent, or in other words, to make them meaningful. Because if there is cohesion, the sentences would be meaningful, and if there are formal links, then sentences would be meaningful. So this was all about verb forms. Another cohesive device is known as parallelism. By parallelism, we mean the use of same or similar structure. For example, if you are using one kind of structure in a sentence, so the same structure should be repeated in another sentence too. And in this way, you are linking one sentence with another, or you are making a kind of relationship between sentences. Right? So parallelism is a device which suggests a connection simply because the form of one sentence or clause repeats the form of another. So the same form is repeated in all sentences, and through this we can have connection between sentences, and this will make your discourse meaningful. Okay. So this is often used in speeches, prayers, poetry, and advertisement. It can have a powerful emotional effect. So why is it used? Is it used to create powerful emotional effect, or to print something in the mind of audience or in the mind of reader? That's why parallelism is used. It doesn't have to be necessarily grammatically parallelism. It may be grammatically parallelism, or it may be sound parallelism. Not important that all the time it will be a grammatical parallelism. Sometimes it may be grammatical, sometimes it may be sound parallelism, as in the rhyme, rhythm, and other sound effect of words. So one might even extend the idea and talk of semantic parallelism. So we can have then grammatical, we can have then sound, we can have then semantic parallelism, where two sentences are linked because they mean the same thing. So then parallelism, we cannot restrict only to grammatical features. Right? We can have syntactic parallelism, we can have sound parallelism, we can have semantic parallelism, right? So you got the idea what is parallelism. The same or similar structures which are repeated in sentences, and through this, we can connect one sentence with another. And this make our discourse meaningful, right? So we tie one sentence with another. We create formal links between sentences. Here we have example of parallelism. Teach us God, Lord, to give and not to count the cost, to fight and not to heed the wounds. You can see the structure: to give and not to count the cost. The first one, to give, and then negative, not to count the cost. To fight, affirmative, and not to heed the wounds, this negative. To toil, that's affirmative, and not to seek for the rest, that's negative. To labor and to ask for no rewards. Save that of knowledge that we do thy will. So this is the example of parallelism. So this structure, to give and not to count the cost, to fight and not to heed the wound. So one sentence structure is repeated in the second, to toil and not to seek for the cost, and the third, and to labor and to seek for no rewards, and that is the fourth. And the last one, it is summarized that save that of knowledge that we do thy will. Now here the discourse proceeds through a repeated grammatical structure. To X and not to Y, to give something and not the Y. For Z, into which different words are slotted, creating a rhythm which is finally broken in the last phrase in a way which may seem to imitate the sense of relief and reward that the prayer concerns. So this was the example of parallelism. Here we have another example of parallelism. He vastly enriched the world by his invention. He enriched the field of knowledge by his teaching. You can see that this structure is repeated in the second one. He vastly enriched the world by his invention, and he enriched the field of knowledge by his teaching. Right? What he did, and the same what he did also repeated in the second sentence. And he enriched humanity by his precepts and his personal example. He died on December 17, 1907. He was buried in Westminster Abbey with honor due to a Prince of Man. So you can see that the same structure is repeated also in the following sentences. He vastly enriched the world by his invention. He enriched the field of knowledge by his teaching. He enriched the humanity by his precept and his principle and his personal example. So through this repetition of the same or similar structure, you can create a powerful emotional effect on the mind of your reader or audience. Parallelism in rhyme. As we discussed in earlier slide, that we also use parallel structure in sound. For example, we may have also a sound parallelism as in rhyme, rhythm, and other sound effect of words. And that government of the people, by the people, for the people shall not perish from the earth. You can see when Abraham Lincoln says in his speech that government of the people, by the people, for the people. We have the same sound structure. You can see government of the people, by the people, and for the people. The same sound structure is repeated. Now, one might even extend the idea and talk of semantic parallelism where two sentences are linked because they mean the same thing. Thank you so much. It was all about part first of this lecture. We define, we discuss what are formal links, we differentiated cohesion from coherence, and we talk about the importance of cohesion and coherence in discourse, and then we discuss in detail cohesive devices, and we just discussed two types of cohesive devices. One was verb form and one was parallelism. In coming lecture, in the second part of this lecture, we will discuss referring expression as a cohesive device, and we will discuss anaphora, cataphora, and we will also talk in detail about repetition and lexical chain, and we will also discuss substitution and ellipsis. So keep watching and please provide your valuable feedback and suggestions about this lecture. Thank you so much.